Thank you very much and good morning all. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. I'd like to introduce the board members and the secretary of the board this morning. With me this morning via Zoom is Carrie Linkletter and Linda Schultz. Myself, I am the chairman this morning. My name is Michael Truglio. From the assessment department, we have Kim Wong, and the administrative personnel this morning is Sally Caulfield. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing application for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. In the statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the court at King's Bench if matter pertains to application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 9 on our docket today. Ms. Caulfield, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimonies.
Okay. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Kim Wong.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. We just received a 15-1, so the first item on the docket.
No.
So we will go to number 2. Please state your full name.
Carson John Horsborough.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are moving on to all new. All right. So Mr. Wong, we are now at item 2. 601 All New Street. Would you like to give us your presentation on that at this point?
Yes. The subject property is 601 Allno Street. The roll number is 060-606-315-00. The file number is 25-341. This is a residential multi-use apartment. Parts of it was built in 1948, and with an addition in 2011. There are a total of 157 suites with 63 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. It's in the St. Boniface area near the St. Boniface Hospital. On page 4 is our income valuation summary. We've used average rents of $973 we have a few income streams, one being residential taxable and one being commercial exempt and one being institutional school tax exempt. The income streams are on page 4. The $973 rents have been applied to the 20T and the 40S income streams. That results in capitalized values of $8,679,000 for the 20T income stream, $949,000 for the exempt portion, and $8,569,000 for the school tax exempt portion. The resulting value is about $109,000 per unit, which, considering the renovations that have gone on in the property and the condition of the property, it is on the low end of the range. On page 5 is just some information on the rental rates that were used and the commercial retail rates that were used. For the retail, their rates are $16.45. This retail isn't actually retail space, but it's just to reflect the area that is being used as the church. So that's why it's class 40 exempt. On page 6 are some rent comparables. The rents that we've used, that the model is applied, is supported by the comparable rents on page 6, and on page 7 are the CMHC market rents. You can see that the model rents are $973, but the CMHC market rents for the St. Boniface area is $820 for a bachelor, $1,070 for a 1-bedroom, and $1,380 for a 2-bedroom. The model rent potential is $1,833,000. The rent potential using the CMHC market rents is $2,019,000. So the model is 9.19% lower than the CMHC market rents. On page 8 are some comparable leases, which support the $16 that the model is applied for the exempt portion. On page 9 is information on how we derived our cap rates. And on page 10 are some cap rate sales. The cap rate sales, they range from 3.46% to 5.74%. So the model's application of the 5.7 for the subject property is at the higher end of the range of our comparables. And just of note on page 10, you can see the sales of 459 Sargent and 473 Burroughs and 677 Maryland. Those are all on average about 75,000 to 90,000 per unit, and we're at about 109,000 per unit for the subject property, which I feel is very reasonable, considering that the subject property has been where the older portion was gutted and renovated, combined with the new addition, which is, I guess, new as of 2011. So us coming in at about 109,000 per unit is reasonable, considering the condition and quality of the subject property. On page 12 is some information on the subject property. You can see in the highlighted portions that the property has been completely remodeled, and an independent living residence included. So on the second paragraph, it does indicate that full services provided on site include meals, laundry, medic alert, housekeeping. On page 13 are some pictures, interior pictures of the subject property. On page 14 are some more interior pictures of the common areas and the church area. On page 15 is some information on some of the work that was done to the subject property. At the top of page 15, they're indicating that they spent $30 million to transform the former St. Boniface convent into a unique seniors complex. On page 16 is the income and expenses supplied by the owner. So this property, it does include a lot of services, and so it would be hard for us to utilize it for our evaluation purposes. So we're resorting to using market parameters for valuation of the subject property. And on page 18 are the CMHC market rents for apartment buildings. So the subject property is currently an independent living facility, and we don't have information to value it as such, or valuing it as if it were a below average apartment building using market informations. The model rents that we've applied are supported by comparable rents as well as the CMHC market rents, and it's actually the model rents are actually a little bit lower than CMHC market rents. The expenses at 44% is reasonable for a fully renovated new building. And the model cap rate is supported by comparable sales. And the cap rate is at the higher end of the range. The overall value at about 109,000 per unit is at the very low end of the range, considering that this is a fully renovated building with a new wing to the building. So I feel that the 109,000 per unit is fair and reasonable, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value at 18,198,000.
Right, that total number was 18 million,
198.
198,000. Thank you.
It's everything, I guess, is on page 1. It shows the breakdown and the total.
Thank you. Just hadn't gotten back there yet. But Mr. Horsburgh, do you have questions at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of questions for the assessor. As Mr. Wong, you've spoken to the quality and condition of the subject property. Have you inspected the property?
When it was first, when they had first made the addition, yes.
So you have inspected the property?
Yeah, yes, I have in the 2000 maybe 12 timeframe.
And did you inspect the whole property or just the new wing?
I actually don't recall, but what I do recall is that the old section was gutted and renovated, and along with building the completely new addition.
Mr. Wong, would you call this property a purpose-built seniors living facility?
I'm not sure. It's currently used as an independent living facility, and it seems to suit that purpose or fulfill that purpose.
Mr. Wong, on page 15, you do quote an article saying that it's the transformation of a former convent. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then just moving on to page 4. Are these cap rates model generated?
Yes, there.
Are you able to speak as to why we see such a, well, I suppose the two income streams, the 40S and the 20T, can you speak to why they were both capitalized at 5.75%?
Because they're both classified as apartments.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Schultz, do you have any questions at this time?
Just one question in regards to the retail space. You said it's not retail space, that it's being used as a chapel now?
Yes. It's just
Okay.
to reflect the area that's being used as the chapel.
Okay. So are they receiving income from that chapel then?
No, I don't. I don't believe so.
But the model is generating potential rent for that chapel, correct?
It is generating a rent, and it is generating a value as a institutional exempt value. So yeah, it's exempt.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Linkletter, any questions at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple. Good morning, Mr. Wong. I'm just wondering, was your brief model driven?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so you did not make any changes yourself.
No.
All right. And you at one point in your presentation, I believe, referenced that part of the building was new.
Yes.
How much of the building is new? Because I thought it was just a renovation.
No, there's a wing that is brand new, and it was built in 2011.
Okay, and do you know what is in that particular wing?
They are independent living units.
Okay,
Like, unfortunately, I didn't provide an overhead view of the property, but the applicant has provided an overhead picture of the subject property, and you can see you'll see, I guess, later on that there is a taller section, and that would be the new independent living section, which is like that section is completely new, but the rest of the building, it's older, but it was completely gutted and renovated in I guess uh, I don't know the exact time frame, but it was completely gutted and renovated.
okay, but the majority of the building was built in 1948, correct?
By the looks of it, I'd say about 60% of it was yeah.
Right. And it was originally purposed as a nunnery, correct?
I believe there were nuns in the property until the property was gutted. To be
And
honest, actually, I'm not sure. As far as as far as I knew, I thought there were still nuns there, but and that might explain the school tax exempt portion of the property. But by the looks of it, it looks like it's completely an independent living facility, as far as I can tell. So it may require us to just to make sure to take a look at the property to make sure that we know exactly what it's currently being used for, if maybe the nuns are no longer there.
okay. And this building has a church within it, correct?
Yes.
Would you not agree that that is unusual for a seniors apartment complex?
I don't think it's very common. There are some buildings that have areas that are used for chapel purposes, but I don't believe it's very common.
Do you know the square footage of the church?
As far as I could tell, it was about 4,200 square feet.
Okay. I thank you, Mr. Wong. That's all my questions.
Thank you very much. I don't believe I have any questions at this time for Mr. Wong, so Mr. Horsberg, let's have your presentation at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. So as previously alluded to, the subject property today is 601 Ulno. If the board will follow me to the executive summary on page 5. I can speak to some of what's been discussed here. So the subject property was originally constructed in 1948 for I don't want to get the order of the nuns incorrect here, but it was purpose built. And I do speak to the history of the property on page, looks like page numbers have changed, but under the section 12.2 history and mission, it was the Oblate Sisters of the Sacred Heart. So the property was originally constructed in 1948 as a nunnery. If you think back to 1948, this is before universal health care. During this time, the influence of the church and the influence of the nuns was waning. And so around the 1950s, the nuns saw the need for servicing the aging people in St. Boniface, the Francophone community. So between 1948 and I believe in the mid-50s, the property, an addition was built on the property so that the nuns could better service kind of the gap in the market where the hospitals, we didn't have universal health care. You had people who were aging, who weren't well. The nuns really created this facility to care for their order. Of course, the nuns, and there still are nuns there. So that was why the property was built. And as they added on, they saw the need and a way for them to serve people who maybe can't afford $4,000 or $5,000 a month. That's really the going rent in some of these modern seniors facilities. So speaking to the way the property has been assessed, it has been assessed as an apartment using an apartment capitalization rate. Various third-party real estate companies, they do track capitalization rates for seniors living facilities, and MNP's valuation speaks to that. So moving on from the executive summary, just a discussion on the approaches to value, assumptions and limiting conditions, relevant case law, and the scope of the report on page 9. Authorized user, highest and best use on page 10 and 11. And then moving on to page 12, we have the city's assessment. And on the following page, I do apologize, the page numbers have changed, but under the heading 10 requested assessment, this is how MNP has valued the property. So we accept that when you're looking at a seniors living facility, the city, it goes beyond their purview and beyond their powers to value the business components of properties like this. They can only value the real estate components. So we've looked at the rents they've applied, and we've looked at the financials of the property. And if you try to back out, well, how much of the rent goes towards services, how much of the rent goes towards the actual real estate, you look at the income that the city has applied, it falls within line, it's not disputed by either party. The retail component, admittedly, I didn't quite have a good chance to talk about this property with the assessor. Understanding now that that exempt portion was placed in to reflect the space of the church. I'll leave it to the board if they want to leave that as is, or if they want to remove it. I looked at it and I thought, well, they consider it to be a commercial rental unit. It's not, so I've excluded it from my valuation of the property. So ultimately, there's really just one issue of contention, and that's the capitalization rate. So we have valued the subject property using a capitalization rate of 7.5%, which falls in line with the market for properties of this nature. So if we move on to the next page, and again, I do apologize that the page numbers have changed. It's under the heading 11, property location. It does show up as page 2. So I have provided some aerial photographs, and this maybe will help to give us a bit of a visual and understand the way this property was developed. So if we move on from property photos to valuation, I have provided a site plan of the property. So I think this maybe will clear up some of the confusion about the property. So again, now if we're all in section 12, valuation, the subject property. So if you see this section B, this was the original nunnery. So this was constructed in 1948, and then subsequently in 1955 or 56, pardon me, like I said, it was actually built between 55 and 56. The building was further, an addition was put on again to serve the indigent, to serve the elderly who are sickly, and again, this is a time when we don't have universal health care. The church steps in and they help to care for these people. Move forward to 2009, 55 suites were added. So I know there was maybe a few questions as to what was added with the addition. So the addition added 55 suites. I guess the one thing to note with the addition of the 55 suites, these suites were slightly different from the rest of the property. These suites do have kitchens, stoves. I wouldn't call it a full kitchen. It's more still just your apartment style kitchen. But these are slightly different than the rest of the property. So now moving on to page 5, the property has been split out with the school tax exempt stream and the taxable stream. Our understanding is that, and I think this falls in line with the way the cities assess the property, that they do have supportive living where there's funding from the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority. So you have 7 bachelor units, 65 one-bedroom suites, and 6 two-bedroom suites. And then you have the independent living, which corresponds with the 20 taxable income stream. with 8 bachelor suites, 64 one-bedroom suites, and 7 two-bedroom suites. So the suites in this property, again, not a purpose-built, majority of the property isn't purpose-built seniors living. It's not even really purpose-built apartments. A lot of this has been kind of renovated and converted from, nunnery. So the bachelor suites range in size from 428 square feet to 591 square feet. Even the one-bedroom units are a bit smaller. They range from 498 square feet to 691. And then the two-bedroom suites, again, on the smaller size, 795 square feet to 418 square feet. So moving on, I will just again mention, so 102 of the property units, they do not have washer, dryer, stove, wood dishwasher, just the small kitchenette. And then 55 do have the stove and more of a full kitchen, not apartment size, but a more of a functional kitchen. But again, no laundry facilities in these units either. And I have provided building plans in the addendum. So moving on to the next page, the history, as I kind of alluded to, and the mission of the property. So Villa Olno, the history is rooted in service, in the mission of the Oblate sisters. And so it really, as the nature of the role of the church has changed, they've adapted to it. And that's really why this property exists. The nuns, actually, I believe in the assessor's report, he speaks to the sale price. The nuns donated the property for $1. And so they passed it to a nonprofit, and now they still live there, but not a lot of people are becoming nuns nowadays. So the management has changed, and now the Catholic Health Network operates it as a nonprofit enterprise. Keeping that mission. The mission of this property is really what's important. It's always going to be nonprofit. I speak to rents later on in this report, and you can see they're getting rents far lower than the market. And it's for good reason. So now moving on, I've spoken to the assessment a little bit here. We've got supportive living, 78 dwelling units, independent living, 79 dwelling units. The retail commercial rental unit, again, not sure that this is the right way to assess it or not, but ultimately that is for the chapel or the church section of the property. So we move on now from page 7, it's showing us to page 8. So we can see the building plans. So I've included the first floor here. Again, now having a little bit more knowledge as to why that commercial rental unit was applied, we can see, looking at the building plans, that there is no commercial rental unit. Again, if that's the way they apply the exemption for the church space, well, it's rather moot in terms of the tax liability. So now we can move on. Page 11, subsection 12.4, relevant municipal board orders and evaluation approach. So the Municipal Board of Manitoba has heard various cases on similar properties. Again, the board has always recognized that it's quite complex valuing properties like this. They do point to a scholarly article assessing congregate care facilities, a unique problem in valuation. I do believe I included an excerpt in the addenda. Excuse me. But really the key points that I want to make here is that seniors living facilities fundamentally are different from apartment buildings. And we can't apply an apartment building for a capitalization rate from an apartment building on this kind of a property. These units can't be converted. Most of them can't be converted to full kitchens. You couldn't install laundry facilities in each of these units. You don't have the electrical infrastructure. You don't have the plumbing infrastructure. And physically, you don't have the size. These are all smaller units, especially in the 1948 section of this building. That was built for nuns, communal living. This isn't a standard apartment building. As well, I haven't inspected this property, but I have been there to visit someone. And I can tell you it's an institutional feel. It doesn't feel like one of these new, nice seniors living facilities. It has the hospital feel. You have the plastic handrails. The way this building is built, it has wider hallways to accommodate people in wheelchairs, people with walkers. You have infrastructure in the building. You have emergency intercom system. You have large communal spaces. You have a dining room that's quite large. You have this church space that's quite large. You have all sorts of amenity spaces because this is fundamentally a communal living facility, not really an apartment building. And that's why we can't accept a capitalization rate for an apartment building. It's not an apartment building. So again, just moving on now to the capitalization rate section on page 13. The way the market would look at this property, it's not a Class A seniors living facility. If this property were all new and if all of it had been built in 2011, I would probably accept that, yeah, Class A, but it's not. You've got 50 odd units that are new and the rest is old. Sure, the building's been renovated. But fundamentally, this property was purpose-built, majority of it, between 1948 and 1956. Originally as a nunnery, and then expanded to care for the elderly. So for Class B properties, third-party market studies have all pointed to cap rates ranging from 8 to 9%. I've applied a 7.5% capitalization rate for the property. If this property were all 1948, 1956, I probably would have gone with an 8 or even 8.5%. But recognizing that some of this property is newer, I do feel that a 7.5% capitalization rate is well supported. Now, if we move on, now it's showing us page 14 and 15. I've just included the cap rates that have been provided by Cushman & Wakefield and CBRE, all of which point to Class B seniors housing ranging from 8 to 9%, or in CBRE's case, 8.25 to 9%. Now, moving on to page 16, I did prepare something of a white paper on seniors living facilities. I do represent a few properties, and I do represent a few properties for the Catholic Health Network. So I'll just really highlight a couple of key points because we've got a full room here and a full docket. So seniors living facilities, fundamentally, they experience different operational complexities and income volatility. As unfortunate as it is to say, in a typical apartment, maybe someone moves out because they've bought a house. Facilities like this, often, if people are moving out, it's because they've passed away, or it's because they need more care than what can be received at the facility. So you have a different kind of turnover in properties like this. Again, this property, their mission is to serve. They honor the nuns' mission. There are still nuns living there. Their mission is to serve. They aren't here to make money hand over fist. This is a property where it's a service-based, faith-based operation. Facilities like this, their design is, there's functional obsolescence in the design. If you're going to try to convert this property to something else, well, you can't. It's built with far larger common areas that you would see in any sort of apartment building. Wider corridors, accessible bathrooms. I think I've included pictures of the bathrooms. You see the bathrooms in a place like this. It's not your regular apartment building. These are designed so that you can take a walker in, or you can have a wheelchair in. These just fundamentally, they're quite different. So if we move on to the next page here, I've also just included a bit of a table that speaks to multifamily properties, Class A seniors living facilities, and Class B seniors living facilities. So again, just on the next page here, the valuation conclusion. Again, only really piece that's in dispute here is the cap rate. And then I will just point to a few things in the agenda here. So if the board will follow me through to the addenda, under the heading other documents, flip to the next page. I provided some photos of the property, as well as an excerpt here as well, the leasing brochure for the property. But really what I wanted to highlight is on the, let's see here. If everyone can get to the Villa Olno brochure excerpt, it's just on the second page of the excerpt. And if ever, I'll give everyone just a second to get there. So I just wanted to highlight the rents that they're getting. You look at their studios, 1825 to 2170, one bedrooms, 2065 to 268, and then two bedrooms, 2,685 to 3,285. And then look at the next page. Bergen Gardens. This is a new Class A seniors living facility, and have a look at the kind of rents that they're achieving. 3,500, 3,800. Go to the next page, $6,390. This property is not a purpose-built Class A seniors living facility. It's a Class B nunnery that's been converted, and they do a lot of really good work here. Now, just this final note, also included in the addenda are some unit plans, so you can see the layout of these properties, of these dwelling units, of these apartments. So I have included those as well, just so that you get an idea as to the layout and the size of these suites. And with that, I welcome any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, questions at this time?
Yeah, I was just wondering, on your page 15, the cap rate page. I was just wondering, it says the cap rates indicated are, say, 6.5 to 7.25 and 8.25 to 9%.
Correct.
I was just wondering, well, like, what are the rents that were being charged to calculate those cap rates?
I'm not certain.
Okay, so they could be 800 or they could be 3,000 or 5,000?
I'm not certain. They were prepared by Cushman and Wakefield and CBRE.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to try to get some clarification on that, but that's all my questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, Ms. Linkletter?
Just a couple of questions. Mr. Horsborough, is there any parking associated with this building?
Yes, there is. I believe they have, I can't say off the top of my head, but I know there are probably about 60 or so stalls. Usually with assisted living facilities, it's usually more of a 1-to-3 ratio for parking. So if I had to guess, I'd say they're probably around 60 stalls.
And that is used for residents and or staff?
So some of it would be for staff, some of it would be for residents. Yeah, with seniors living facilities, fewer people are still driving, but I do think that they would have at least probably 40 stalls for residents.
Okay, and so there's no visitor parking?
There would be visitor parking as well. I'm not sure to what extent, but there would be certainly visitor parking there.
Okay, and you also mentioned, how this building was purposely built for aging nuns, etc. So the finishings, just looking at your pictures you provided, they're not high end, correct?
No, I wouldn't call them high end. They've been quite diligent with the way they've managed the finances and the legacy of the nuns. They're nice. I wouldn't say that they're not nice, but I wouldn't call it high end. No, I would call Bergen Gardens. I would call high end. I wouldn't call these finishes high end.
Okay. Just also looking at the pictures again that you provided, it looks as though it's a cafeteria style in terms of the food and beverage.
That's correct. I know for Sundays for events they do have table service provided, and I believe most dinners there would be table service provided, but breakfast, lunch, usually the buffet.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Schultz, any questions at this time?
Just one question. So in your valuation, you've removed the chapel in valuation at all. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you feel that there's no value of that chapel?
No. So I mean, it was more of a, I guess, a misunderstanding on my part. I saw a 4,200 square foot commercial rental unit, and I looked at the plans, and there was no commercial rental unit. So again, I guess the way I looked at it, I was confused by it. But I mean, if the city, if that's the way they look at it, and they say 950,000 exempt, we can leave it as is. Yeah, it was just the way I looked at it. I didn't really have a chance to have a good conversation with the assessor, and yeah, I was just kind of confused by that, and I removed it because there is no commercial rental unit in the property.
Right, but the chapel itself, though, you feel that there is a value in that chapel?
Uh, it's hard to say. I mean, it has value to the people who worship there. It has
For sure.
value to the nuns. Would it have value to the market? Yes, yeah, I would say so. It's space that it could be converted in theory. I don't see that happening, but certainly it's usable space that could be, used for whatever purpose.
Okay, so for your evaluation, you're going to leave it excluding?
I would. If anything, I would actually revise and say I would include that portion. It was really just in terms of the tax liability, it's rather moot. But no, it's a misunderstanding on my part, and I would include it.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So just following up on Ms. Schultz's last question, so you would be adding 950,000 to the value at this point, correct?
Correct.
Your evaluations.
Yeah.
So. That would take us to 14,174,000. Would that be correct, sir?
That would be my revised number. Yes, thank you.
Oh.
14,174,000.
All right. I'm interested to explore the cap rates a little bit more. You haven't done your own study on these things, have you, or not?
I have not prepared my own
Okay.
cap rate study. No.
And would you agree with me that properties like this don't normally sell in the open market, do they?
I would be very surprised to see this property sell.
Would you be surprised if any market was for this style of property? Like assisted living, that type of a thing.
There's certainly a market for it. Yeah, yes.
But are there a lot of sales regarding that?
I wasn't able to find any. No.
So by extension, do you think that the sources that you've quoted, do you think they might have had better luck in that respect?
I would think that the third parties have the best sense of anyone in terms of what kind of a capitalization rate of property like the subject would sell for, whether they're looking in the Manitoba market or elsewhere. The cap rates are somewhat similar.
Fair. Forgive me for a moment. Mr. Wong, I have a question for you. Do you are you aware of any sales with these types of properties in the city of Winnipeg in the last 5-10 years? Other than them buying a piece of land and developing it, or buying a piece of property and renovating?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any type of sale for a similar type of property. But with regards to maybe assisted living and independent living, I believe that Ontario has a reasonable amount of sales. And from what I've seen, their indicated cap rates are maybe about 8 or 9%. But the thing is, so the 8 or 9% is not actually unfounded, but the thing is, within that 8 or 9% cap rate, it are rents that are $2, $3, $4, $5,000, and so that's kind of why I asked where the 8 or 9% came from with regards to the applicant's cap rates, because uh, I think 8 or 9% is a fair cap rate, but that's only if you include the additional income that normally comes from these types of properties. But if it doesn't include that income, then I'm not sure if it's fair to sort of use cap rates that are 8 or 9%.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. So back to you, sir. This isn't a high-end property, as you'd say. It's a decent property, obviously, based on what they're asking for rents, etc. Fairly reasonable, and certainly there's a place in the market for that. Is that?
Oh, certainly, yeah.
And it was fully renovated to accommodate this facility, right?
Correct.
Sorry. I think those are my questions. Thank you very much. Do either of you have any rebuttal at this time regarding this, or do you want to do a summation either party?
Yeah, I could small summation, please.
Okay, go ahead, and then we'll
Oh,
come
no,
back
as
to you.
well, yeah.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Wong.
Yeah, I mean, this property isn't your typical apartment, but the only market information that we have is on apartment, and it does, when you look at pictures, and it does resemble an apartment. So we've did our best to try to value the property with as much market information as we could. And so we haven't valued this property as if it was a high-end apartment in any way. Like a high-end apartment would be in the neighborhood of 200 to 300,000 per unit, and we're at about 109,000 per unit. So we've definitely not valued this as if it was a high-end apartment building, but we valued it as if it was just a below average apartment, and a sort of a normal apartment, similar to the subject property. It may transact or be valued at 150 to over 200,000 per unit, and so we're at 109,000 per unit. So feel that we've sort of captured the sort of uniqueness of the property by valuing it as if it was a below average apartment. And so we feel that the value at about 109,000 per unit is fair, considering that regular apartments on Sargent Avenue are about 80,000 a unit. And so because of the fact that I feel we've reflected the uniqueness of the property, I ask that you maintain the assessed value at 18,198,000.
Very much, Mr. Wong. Mr. Horsberg, please.
Thank you. Just a brief summation. Ultimately, as per the Municipal Assessment Act, the onus is on the assessor to prove that their value is correct. The property has been assessed as an apartment building. I've provided all information available on the property. We can see what the size of the units are. We can see that they're far smaller than your typical apartment. You can see that they don't have the functionality of modern apartments. Ultimately, when you look at this property, you have to reflect the realities of the market. There's been a lot of discussion about 8 and 9% cap rates. I haven't applied an 8% cap rate. I've applied a 7.5% cap rate. And that's because this property is a seniors living facility. Built by the nuns, by the Oblate sisters. To serve a need. And this property was renovated, sure, but it was built over 1948, 1956, and then an addition on 2011, in 2011. My ask is that this board revise this assessment to reflect the site-specific nature and not to rely on model-derived parameters for apartments. It makes no sense. So with that, I thank the board for their time today.
Thank you very much. With that, I believe we conclude that item on our docket, so. We can move on to 737 Jefferson Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Wong.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Did I actually? Well. That might come to you. Oh, I'm mixing and matching.
Please state your full name.
Are there since
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Colin Andrew Durward.
You affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Have a seat.
Sorry, I'm just mixing and matching addresses here, ain't I? Oh, look here. Forgive me. Where is the brief for Sergeant? Here was accessory, there was no use of it. This is what I can tell.
Oh, okay.
All right, so. Okay, no problem, that's what I was reading from, I thought, oh, it's been a while.
Never trust this.
Yeah, well. All right. Mr. Wong, you have the floor for 737 Sergeant Avenue. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, the subject property is 737 Sergeant Avenue. The file number is 25-485. The roll number is 130-316-98000. And I guess I'm not sure, as maybe a preliminary matter, if you can see on my information that the value, the assessed value is 1,741,000.
Yes.
And the assessed value under application is 3,986,000.
And why might that be, sir?
I guess
Is that what the issue is?
we had, I guess, inspected the property and sent out
Get to it.
supplementary notices.
Okay, so there are subs on this, is that what's happening, sir?
Yes, when I believe that it looks like when the application was filed, it was for an assessed value of 3,986,000. We inspected the property in May of this year, and it was determined that adjustments were necessary, and so we sent out adjustments, adjusting the value to 1,741,000.
Okay, so,
Or 2025 and 2026.
okay,
And so I'm not sure if we have basically the new value is 1,741,000, and the value in application is for a assessed value that was that is no longer applicable.
So in essence, what you're saying to me is that they appealed the original value of 3,986,000. But subsequent to that, a change was made down to 1,741,000. Okay, gentlemen.
So good morning, everybody.
Just yeah, you fill me in here because I am
Quick little rundown.
a little bit lost here.
So the property we purchased in April of 2025 from Myers Norris Penny, the receiver. Subsequently, previous to that, in 2022, the city of Winnipeg shut down the building.
Okay,
So the building was burnt vacant since 2022. The receiver stepped in late 2022, 2023.
okay,
Went through the process of the courts in order to sell the property, which became available in 2025 of this year. The building still remains burnt vacant. There's no income from the property. What we're seeing with the city's billing and property taxes and notices coming out, like even with the water department. The water has been turned off to the property for 3 years, but yet I think $50,000 or $60,000 got added to the tax roll, and I'm going, like, we gotta get to the bottom of.
does the building have heat?
No.
So it is basically a shell.
Burnt vacant, got it, yep.
It's a boarded up building. If somebody can drive by, they can see that this is boarded
Okay,
up.
fair enough. Mr. Wong, would you agree with these gentlemen that this is in fact the case here?
Yeah,
And you feel the value at 1,791,000 still represents fair market value for a building that is in disrepair like this? Or is this the value that the department has placed on it being in this disrepair?
yeah. Like I said, we inspected the property and we've made adjustments to the valuation to reflect the current state of the property. And that's why like the original value was 3,000,009 and then the revised value is 1,000,007.
Okay,
So basically there were supplementary notices that were sent out in August of 2025, in August of this year.
okay. And
Changing the value from 3 million.
Some of the supplementaries have reflected.
Okay, so you know that this has been reduced down to.
Correct, but I also have similar experience as I'm seasoned in the trade of the West End and the area.
Fair enough.
I did have a building at 570 Ellis that was burnt vacant in 2021, 2022, and my assessment was $400,000. So we got a big gap from 400 to 1.7, and both buildings are in the same condition. And why I'm saying that is because the amount of investment that goes into these properties to bring them back up to, let's just say, the average for the areas.
Yep.
Is significant. Like, you're in the millions. It's not it's not like a $200,000 repair and you open the doors. I mean, this is a significant full gut rehab, top to bottom, including structural.
Fair enough. Have you, and further to that, since you brought that up, do you have any structural reports on the building at this time?
I have, and my permit has been issued by the city, and the repair was concluded earlier in the season here while we had the
And how much was the value of the permit, sir?
value of the permit, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was just shy of $400.
400,000?
No, $400.
Oh, no, I mean, the value of the permit in terms of the work.
Oh, the work that was being done.
Sorry, that's what I'm.
The work that we were doing for foundation, and then full exterior, I believe the permit value I think we paid on was about 3.3 million, I believe.
So that is exterior, foundation,
Interior.
and interior.
And also the fire escape, it has how many fire escapes? 46.
All right. Mr. Wong, do you have anything further to add to this, sir?
Just that like the application, this current application was filed in July of 2025. And the supplementary notices, it looks like it might have been sent out in August of 2025. So there was a supplementary notice sent out, and we're changing the value from 3.9 million to 1.7 million. And I feel that the current application is not appealing that supplementary notice.
That is the problem. You did not appeal, you didn't, gentlemen, appeal the supplementary notice that came, correct? You appealed the original value of 3.9. Almost 4.
But I didn't receive the supplementary notices. They
I
don't,
don't even aware of that.
they don't reflect until, like even our solicitor didn't receive the supplementary notices. Because he wasn't in contact with property tax and assessment, over some of the other outstanding issues.
And fair enough, let me just ask them the question, it says here the supplementary notice was sent. 101-543-68 Manitoba Ltd, that's
Correct.
you guys. And to 1595 Aaron Street, is that correct? Okay, so. And you were aware that the change was made, correct?
In late August, early September, yes.
Okay. But you didn't appeal that second notice, correct? 'Cause
I'm appealing the first one. I have a burnt vacant building, right?
I understand that, sir. Here's the problem that we have. First, notice that comes out is, 3,000,009. Sorry, 86. And 1,000, and you appealed that, so that number is the number that you appealed.
Correct.
Subsequent to that, the department sends out a revision to the assessment and changes it down to 1,741,000. You have to appeal the 741,000 to keep the appeal open. So if if we look at the original value, that in essence doesn't exist.
Okay, but I have a small question.
Okay, go ahead.
The city shut down the building, so it's on record with the city for the
Yeah.
condition of the building. So as an assessor, my question to the assessor is, and Mr. Wong, clarify me if I'm wrong, but even to escalate it to the not 3,986,000, when indeed on fact, should not the city of Winnipeg have record that the building is burnt vacant because they're the individuals that shut it down?
Okay, Mr. Wong. Is it true that you would have received a notice of fire on this particular property, sir? And do you have such notice?
The thing is, like, we don't work with I'm not sure what department the applicant is referring to, but we don't, I guess we don't work together in that way. We just work off of the permits that we get that might affect the valuation. And when we get permits that might affect the value of a property, we inspect those properties and we make any necessary adjustments to the values, which is what I believe my colleague did, is like he reviewed the property and determined that the property was heavily damaged, and that's why the value was adjusted from 3,000,009 to 1,700,000.
Okay, but was there something that triggered your associate to go to look at this property, sir? Was there a fire permit sent through to the department? Was there some sort of a notification through the city's information that would have been sent to assessment?
Yeah. I guess we get permits from PP&D, and we review those permits and determine if those permits might affect the value. In this case, say fire damage. or if they were doing,
Triggered
or
doing that.
fire damage or doing renovations, then we would take a look at the property, we would inspect the property and to see if any adjustments to the value are warranted. And I believe it looks like my colleague might have looked into this in April of this year and issued the
So,
changes to the assessed value.
yes, do you feel that that supplementary is reflecting the current scenario of the building?
Yes, yes, I do. And the value going from 3.9 to 1.7 is that's how I guess that's how my colleague reflected the condition of the building.
So, Mr. Wong, if you give me just a second, gentlemen, you said that you've started some of the work on the building, correct? You've completed that at this point, or when did you complete it? Or have you?
It's work, it's work
Let
in
me ask that
progress.
question.
Let
Have you
me,
completed?
let me add to this one.
Yeah, please.
We spent over $50,000 just to demolition,
Okay,
and even demolition is not even complete yet. Because we have to sort of gut out everything.
yep,
It's burnt, it's have a mold, it's have a lot of other issues. So we just focusing right now because the winter is approaching and we just focusing on the exterior so we can close this building. Even
make it
that's
watertight, I guess.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. So the biggest issue what we have with a multiple fire escape. This is a building kind of a unique building. It's 48 fire escapes. And we have a hard time taking the old structure out and putting the new one.
Okay.
So right now we only concentrate on the outer skirt, and for timeline wise, maybe pretty much going to take another year to bring that building back
To
to
the
business.
point where you can open the doors.
Yeah. And one question I have, Mr. Wong,
Yeah, go ahead.
when you reduce the price from 3.9 to 1.7, what did you consider?
We primarily apply a higher vacancy. In this particular case, we applied a 25% vacancy, and we have applied a higher expense ratio of approximately 67% to the income stream. And those are the primary adjustments that resulted in the value changing from 3.9 to 1.7 million.
Did you draw by the building, by the way, or?
I did not.
Yeah, so that was the problem.
Well,
That was
One
the
other
one-
thing I'd like to mention.
Hold on a second, I was the one actually doing the application.
Okay, go ahead.
So to me, it's my mistake. I thought, I didn't even know that the reduction came.
Neither did I.
So I thought my application's in, date is fixed, I marked my calendar and I'm here.
You know, and I appreciate what you're saying. The problem that we have is ultimately that you've appealed a number that no longer exists. It's basically what it comes down to. Then the new number that now exists, that 1,741,000. That is not under appeal because apparently you didn't appeal that number. Now,
But it didn't come out till after, so how could we appeal it?
well, that's the problem, is that you have to appeal both. Once you get the notice that says, okay, we're changing the value, it's a chicken and egg thing, quite honestly.
What I understand, and I hear the process and I understand the process. However, my question is, if I received this on this day and my application was due this day and it was submitted and paid, and I received this at a later date, how am I to know?
Well, when you receive the supplementary.
After the
notification, after you appeal the first one, it gives you the right to appeal that. So the way it works is when you have the initial one, you appealed it. You could have contacted the board and said, I want that appeal now. I want that to go to the new value, which is 1,741,000.
Correct.
And they would have been able to transfer the value
But
to that, or
while we're
at least make that appeal.
While we're here, I didn't ask the assessor to raise the price to 3,000,007 something, whatever
And I
he originally put
appreciate
in.
that.
However, I'm a little confused when you said your colleague visited the building. I mean, all you had to do was Google it. I mean, there's 4 pages of the City of Winnipeg Fire Department and the City of Winnipeg shutting down the building,
Yeah.
article after article after article.
And
And I'm going,
BBC News and all those things.
how do we get to the stage of chicken and egg and going,
And I appreciate the fact that the department has, through whatever means at this point, has come to the conclusion that yes, there was a change. The change was that it was burnt and required, it needs to be redone, obviously. That is the reason why they've changed the value down. I'm just wondering, how many units are in this building?
46?
Well, it's a fairly good size then. Okay.
So my question that I'll have again is that I'm a very seasoned individual in the area.
Mhm.
And 570 Ellis, which was a burnt vacant building, had an assessment of $400,000 until I pumped in the $2.8 million to bring it back up to snuff.
Okay. But
So when I question, when somebody says my colleague is the one that went to do the research, well, obviously the research wasn't done thoroughly because all you would have had to do was use Google. You wouldn't even have to get in your car.
well, I believe what he's saying is that the original value at 3,986,000. That was the original value based on the department not realizing that there had been a fire, number one. And once they did realize that, they made the change down to 1,741,000, which is, in his opinion, reflecting the market value as it is.
I appreciate that, but
Okay.
what I don't understand again, and correct me if I'm wrong, the city is the city of Winnipeg in various departments. However, the city of Winnipeg should have on record because Winnipeg Fire documents all,
And I think that's what happened. That's why I asked Mr. Wong, in what way was the department notified? And I believe, Mr. Wong, you said that you did receive something from the fire permits on this?
Well, like we received permits, but the main thing here is that like when we sent out the supplementary notice for the 1.7 million, basically if you had issue with that value, then that is the value that needs to be appealed, and that's pretty much like that's the process that needs to be taken.
One question,
Well, yeah, go ahead.
because I've been through this process before too. When assessor believed that, the 3.9 was a mistake, so basically they got contact with the applicant.
Yep.
My application was still in. I did not withdraw my application up and until today. And you didn't even try to contact any of us. I have my contact number, email, phone number, everything, telling, you know what, we think we're going to agree for 1.7. Do you want to withdraw your application? That didn't happen. So my application still stand.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, you know what, when we sent out the supplementary notice, it's in the notice.
There's
it
no
says that
after the fact.
if you don't agree with
That's
the
the way it
value,
is.
you can appeal
and I
that notice.
appreciate that.
It's the hard part. We're now sitting with the department saying, okay, you appealed the original value. And that's why you're here today. That value is no longer in place. So in essence, the appeal is on something that doesn't exist anymore.
And then that's fair game.
And that's,
However,
and that's the problem.
However-
Now, the second half of that is that had you appealed or contacted the board after you receive the supplementary notice to say, hey, the number's gone down, I may or may not still agree with that, and I don't know that. And then you might have been able to get your appeal in for the supplemented amount of 1,741,000. That's
all previous to the notices, your department taxation was sent a letter by Taylor McCaffrey stating that the building was burnt vacant. So at time of possession, how are the property taxes X number of dollars? And the solicitor to this day from City of Taxation has never been answered. And there is record of that because we've read the letter.
just go on. Just out of curiosity, forgive me for interrupting. Do you have letters from the legal folks that they're pointing from, Taylor McCaffrey, that let you know that there were some changes that needed to be made here, sir? Is that part of what maybe happened?
I don't, I don't know. I mean,
Well-
it's quite possible, but as I sit right here, right now, I do not know.
Okay. You know what, I would like to ask the ladies. Ms. Schultz, do you have any questions at this point? Because this is kind of bounced back and forth a bit.
Well, if you take a look at the value that the city's got, the 1.741, I understand the fact that, you know, there was the supplementary that came out. I mean, one, you're using a 25% vacancy when the entire building is vacant. And can't be occupied at all. So I don't know, is that relevant to the value then?
Well, typically when we have a building that is vacant, we don't apply 100% vacancy, which would result in a zero value. We apply a 20, like our, say if a building was 50% vacant, we might take half of the 25% and apply apply a 12% vacancy, 12.5% vacancy to it to reflect the nature of the vacancy. So the 25% that we've applied is what we do for our standard for all vacant buildings. And normally the expenses would be of a normal apartment might be around 50%. And we've applied a 67% vacancy. So those are the two major things that we've done to try to apply to try to reflect the value at 1.7 million. But I think even prior to that, maybe the more important thing is that the supplementary notice that we sent out at 1.7 million, it was not responded to. And so that would be our thing. And for us to maybe go outside of those to try to figure out what letters were sent, who knew what, it might not be feasible to do that type of analysis, but I feel it's a little bit more defined and straight to, you know, we sent out an adjustment for 1.7 million. If you don't agree with that value, you do have the right to appeal, and you can do that and potentially give us a call and talk with us about it. But outside of that, I'm not sure if there's anything else that we can do in this case.
And has the city at all attempted to contact the applicant after the appeal at the 3,986,000 and the supplementary being
I
at
don't
1?
believe so.
No contact. Okay. Just a question for the applicant. Notwithstanding that you've got the 3,986 on the application right now, the assessed value once the new one 1,741. Did you have a value in mind that you were looking at?
I'm using comparable to the building that I just recently sold in November of 2024. It was a 32 unit apartment block at 570 Ellis. And the assessed value prior to it being lowered, being burned vacant, I believe was 1.685 million or 84 million. And it was reduced to a valuation of, I believe, 400,000.
That's pretty much 25% of the value.
Pardon me, what was that?
That's represented about 25% of the value what it was lowered to. It was around
Okay.
400,000.
Okay.
We initiated a full rehab on that building.
Yes, 2 units.
32 units, correct?
Thank you.
Difference with that building though, it did have parking. So it's,
Okay.
but anyway, long story short,
Yeah.
that building was fully rehabbed. There was approximately just shy of, I think 1.5 million went into the building.
Okay.
And on top of what it was purchased for. And we sold the property in November of 2024 for a value of 4.130 million.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Linkletter, any questions at this time, please?
Thank you. Just Mr. Wong, Just to recap on this property, it's been vacant since 2022, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The water was turned off, correct, in 2022?
I'm not
That's
sure.
correct.
Okay. There is no, it is vacant. There is no electricity, I'm assuming, going into this building?
No, when we took possession, Winnipeg Fire wanted the power restored to the building with a monitored fire alarm. And we did comply with the Winnipeg Fire on their requests.
Oh, all right. So, and Mr. Wong, this building was inspected by somebody from the city, but not yourself, correct?
I'm checking. I'm not 100% sure if it was inspected. I just know that there was an adjustment made due to reflect the fire damage and the vacant and it being vacant.
Okay. Then I'm just wondering if this building is, I'm going to use the word derelict. Would it not be, how come it was not assessed at land value? If the building is basically unusable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can make an argument for it being land value in certain situations. I think in this particular situation, we felt that there was value to the building, and those were the adjustments that we made.
Okay, so in what situation do you go to land value only, even if there is a structure on the building, a structure on the land?
I mean, there are some times where the situations where the building. Sometimes in this case, the income value is lower than the land value, and so in those instances, you could potentially use a land value.
All right. Is any consideration given to the fact that the building is 1914?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you very much. All right, so we have the problem still remains that we have an appeal for the original value and not one for the revised value. That's ultimately the fly in the ointment here at this moment in time.
True, but as well, I would think that our solicitor's letter to taxation and to the water department would have some clout, because that would be predated to any of this application when we just saw the application when it came.
Yeah.
And
I guess what the department is saying, Mr. Wong, please. You did this supplemental and it's dated the 12th of August. You received this supplemental, did you not?
end of I believe sometime in
In
September.
August, September.
Yep.
Okay.
No, but again, we didn't get a call from the
All
seller.
right. You know what I think I'm gonna do is we can take a recess and I will talk to the panel members in camera, and we will come back to you with information, please. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome back. We have discussed this in camera and conferred. We are looking at the appeal today for the value of 737 Sargent Avenue of $3,986,000. The supplemental that has been issued is not an appeal, and unfortunately, we can't do anything about that at this point in time. So the matter at $3,896,000 is as we have it now. whatever we do with that valuation, we get to decide, once we are concluded this hearing, what we will do with that, but, again, because that has now been changed, it really is a moot point, so, that is the decision of the board for the moment. We are concluding this, hearing for now. And, I thank you both very much for coming this morning. Thank you very much.
So just one quick question I do have. So since our solicitor was engaged in this matter from previous, we'll just keep on that track with
Absolutely.
pursuing it.
Contact the
Yep.
assessor and, have a discussion with them.
Yep.
That would be your, best bet at this point.
Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, and also, there's also the option of the municipal board, correct? Mike?
Well, if the amount is for an amount that no longer exists, Mr. Wong, as you know. So if they were to appeal that, there's nothing to appeal, sir.
Correct.
That's the
Sorry,
problem.
sorry.
Yeah, but Mr. Chairman, I know this matter is closed. But with this notice, I did not get any provision that I have to reappeal again. And
Information would have been sent along with it, like all other notices that get sent.
You can read at the, yeah, you can read at the bottom of the supplementary notice.
Yeah, it's all there, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you. All right.
I'm sorry.
You saw where I was reading it from. 690 Jefferson Avenue, that is, you'd have them sworn, please come forward and the secretary will swear you in.
Is he gonna be providing evidence as well? I'm gonna just, okay. Please state your full name.
Email the Eladio.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Wong. We have 690 Jefferson Avenue. Go ahead, please, sir.
Okay, I just want to confirm that the 1915 portage, that there's nothing going on with that.
What are we talking about here? And why?
That would be file 25-218.
That matter was adjourned. You are looking at an old docket.
I do not have that on my docket this morning, sir,
It was adjourned.
Yes.
apparently.
Okay,
So we were at 690 Jefferson Avenue.
okay, the subject property is 690 Jefferson. The file number is 25-331. The roll number is 110406, or sorry, 1104084800. The assessed value is 4,480,000. This is a residential apartment. It's 2 stories high. It was built in 1971. We have an effective year built of 1971 to 1991. To reflect, usually the change in effective date is to reflect some renovations or improvements that have been done to the property. There are 28 suites with 22 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. So it'd be just across the street from Garden City High School. On page 4 is our income valuation summary. We used average rents of $1,153 to get a potential income of $387,000. We used a 3% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $375,000. And we used a 45% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $212,000. Capped at 4.75%, we have an estimated market value of $4,480,000. On page 5 are some rent comparables showing that the rents that we've applied are in line with what's in the market. On page 6 is information on how we derived our cap rates, and on page 7 are some cap rate sales that range from 3.46 to 5.74%. On page 9 are some interior photos of the subject property from the internet. This is a new owner. We don't have any recent mailer history. So we don't have any actual information to rely on. So for this valuation, we've relied on market information. The model rents that have been applied are supported by rent comparables, and the model expenses at 43% are in line with other properties that have been renovated. The model cap rate at 4.75% is supported by cap rate sales. So the assessed value is supported by the market, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $4,480,000.
Thank you very much. Questions at this time of the assessor?
Yes, I do
Go
have
ahead.
a question. Is that the assessed value which is being used, which is the market value of the property, is that right? Not really I would say considerably the assessment itself. It's the market value where you derive it from.
Yeah, that's basically what our system has determined to be a fair market value for the subject property.
Okay. And Mr. Assessor, I wonder if you would believe that the fair market value is not really the assessed value.
They're pretty close.
Yeah.
Because like the assessed value that we have, they're based off of market sales. And like we have a modeling system that models all our assessed values, and they compare those modeled estimated assessed values to real sales, and so they are representative of market value. It's just they're representative of market value, say as of a reference date, which would be a few years earlier.
Okay.
So the very current market value is probably a little bit higher than the assessed value, because the assessed value is kind of based off of information that's maybe a couple of years and older.
Okay. Understand. That's all my questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, Ms. Lickletter?
Mr. Wong, is your brief model driven?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so you yourself didn't inspect this property,
I did not.
right? I thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Schultz, any questions at this time?
I know you said it was model driven. Your cap rate at 4.75 on the low end of the cities. Are you using low rise A or B? It doesn't matter. I mean, they're both 4.75. Can you comment? It looks like from the pictures, looks like it's been renovated from what you have.
Yeah. I guess in my experience, with the cap rates that we've looked at of renovated properties and newer properties, they are in the low 4s and low 4 to 5% range.
On renovated properties.
On renovated properties, newer properties.
Okay. No other questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I think my questions have been asked and answered. So, may we have your presentation this time? Do we have a brief? Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is actually an appeal to request the reduction of the assessment value of 690 Jefferson. We actually owned this property early this year. and in a commitment to maintain this property as an affordable housing to tenants. So we just noted that based on the comparable properties in the area, we have found out based on my illustration here, the address of 690 Jefferson, which is in the subject right now, 4.480 million, which is a 20,413 square feet of land area. And comparing it to the nearby property 663 Jefferson, which is at 1.4.
Okay, sir, sorry.
So this is
These are the assessed values
as
that you're using to compare to?
exactly.
Okay. I think if you remember hearing my initial opening statement, assessed values are to be compared to your assessed value.
Yeah.
And that's a problem that if you're talking about assessment, you have to talk about the market value, not the assessed value that these properties, so are these, any of these properties sell at this point?
Not
Not to
seven,
your
no,
knowledge, okay,
not to- yeah.
so we
It's
really
just
can't talk about the assessed value of those properties.
Okay.
So if you could move on from there, that would be great.
Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. So, on my next page, I just noted too that based on the property assessment notice from 2021 to current, the property increased its assessment values more than doubled. And I knew for a fact that this was a renovated property, and there's a sale in 2000, and which was on my last page, the sale in 2020 of 2.2 reflected that kind of increase also in the assessment. And since then it increased, maybe I would say from 2022 to 2023, it's almost doubled from 2.1 to 3.9. And we recently bought it for 4.5 in January. So it's just, I would say, based on the market rent and the market valuations of the property in that neighborhood, it seems it's too much of the assessment, or the value is too much compared to how the property performs. So and that's why I would really wanna request to just consider the reduction of the property assessment values for this property.
To what value?
I'm looking at almost the same as the 2022 assessment, which is a 2.1.
2.1.
Yeah, because since then, based on the previous information that was provided by the owner of the property when they started renovating it, the rent is almost similar. Like it's 1,100, which was also used in the in page 3 of Mr. Wong here, 1153. And up to, so now it's a little bit more, we're on the average of 1,200.
That is your presentation, yes?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wong, any questions of the applicant at this point?
Just that you're requesting a value of 2,117,000.
That's correct.
Okay, so did you recently just purchase the property?
That's correct, yeah. We just took over January of this year.
Yeah, and you were saying that it was affordable housing. Is it like, is it a nonprofit or anything like that?
Not really. It's actually based on the market rent in the area of Garden City, this is one of the, considerably lower when it comes to rent.
Okay, so you're kind of saying that it's affordable based off of the rents being a little bit
Of the
lower than
rent, exactly, in that particular neighborhood. Yeah,
okay. Okay, that's all my questions.
thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, any questions at this time?
Just one question. So the value in 2021 was assessed at 2,117,000. Were the renovations done after that?
The renovation was done in when the owner where we bought it from, they renovated since 2020.
So
When they bought it.
okay, so in the 2021 assessment, were those renovations completed or were they still in process?
Ongoing, that's ongoing.
Ongoing. Okay. No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Linkletter, any questions at this time?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I don't believe I have any questions at this time. Is there any closing statements that either party would like to make?
None for me.
Thank you. Any closing comments to make?
Just please reconsider. That's something that I would like to request. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank
And
you.
being patient. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And that concludes that matter for the morning. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Yeah.
Thank you.
And we might as well go into in camera for the moment because we have not heard from.
I sent a link. I have just sent an email to let him know that we are ready for him. So did you want to recess while I try to?
Yes, please. That would be great. Very much. Mr. Neufeld, you have unfortunately given us the problem of having your briefs in late. I appreciate that things happen that are difficult, but I would expect better of you and your colleagues there to get the information in. We are going to accept it for the fact of let's try and expedite this as much as we can. So we will move forward with this, accepting your late information and Mr. Wong, I believe, oh, pardon me.
Sorry, I'm getting feedback here. I'm getting a double speak.
Don't know why.
Is your audio still on, Mr. Neufeld?
No, I turned it off in between. Oh, it worked.
Is it still happening, sir?
Yeah, it's. Yeah. Oh shit. No, sorry. It's my fault. I just figured it out.
Mr. Neufeld.
No. I got it.
All right.
I left YouTube on. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of it.
Mr. Neufeld, we will have you sworn in at this point, please.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Please state your full name.
Rocky Neufeld?
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Wong, would you like to start with 615 Kimberly Avenue? And this is the 2024 roll year, correct? You are muted, sir. There we go.
The subject property is 615 Kimberly. The file number is 25-508. The roll number is 020-628-07965. The roll year is 2024, and the assessed value is $6,054,000. This is a residential apartment, 3 stories high. It was built in 2022, and it has 32 suites with 41 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. It's located in the East Kildonan area. On page 4 is our income valuation summary. We used average rents of $1,271 to get a potential income of $488,000. We used a 3.2% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $472,000. And we used a 38% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $290,000. Capped at 4.8%, we have an estimated market value of $6,054,000, which is about $189,000 per unit. On page 5, this is a newer building, so we don't have any actual information to refer to. So we're going to go to the market for valuing the subject property. On page 5 are some rent comparables showing that the rents we've used are in line with what's in the market. And the bottom of page 5 are some expense comparables that range from 33 to 42%. It supports the model's expense ratio at 38%. On page 6 is information on how we derived our cap rates, and on page 7 are some cap rate sales that range from 3.6% to 5.74%. The model's cap rate at 4.8% is in line with 2390 McPhil's, which is a newer build. Page 9 are some interior pictures of the subject property from an inspection. Page 10 and 11 are some more interior photos. And on page 12 are CMHC market rents for properties that are built in 2005 and newer. The rents for a bachelor are $958. But the subject is primarily ones and twos, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. So the CMHC market rents for a 1 bedroom is $1317 and $1317 for a 1 bedroom and $1557 for a 2 bedroom. So this supports the model's rent at $1,271. So once again, this is a newer build, so we will look to the market information for valuing the subject property. The model rent is supported by rent comparables and is a little bit lower than what CMHC might indicate. And the model expenses are in line with other newer builds. The model cap rate is supported by comparable sales. So the model values are supported by the market, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $6,054,000.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, questions at this time of the assessor?
Yes. I'm sorry, and I'm gonna help speed things up. We're not gonna deal with the income, just the cap rate. We're very, very close on that number, and actually, I'll comment on why we did this later when it's my turn. So the question then is this 4.8% all from the model?
I believe so, yes.
And these rates that were reported to on page 7, did these go into making the model?
I'm not 100% sure what if these were included or not.
The numbers 1, 2, and 3 were either newly built or newly renovated. Do you know if the income and expenses reported were for before construction, after construction, or during fit-up period, during absorption period? Do you know that?
The calculation for the cap rate for McPhillips was done using the 3 years income and expense information prior to the sale.
My question was this still during absorption period? Do you know?
I believe that as far as I know, they were fairly stable.
Stable, that's not the question. It typically can take years for a property to be absorbed, depending on where it fits in the marketplace. Do you know that this was absorbed?
I do not know.
Okay. 677 Maryland, I note that there's 3 sales on it. Why just use this one?
I would assume it's the most recent one.
And had it gone through a renovation at some point prior to sale?
I'm not sure.
Okay. The model on page, the discussion on page 6 with market rates, and you have, or not you, but the department insists on putting market reports in there, Collier, CBRE, and Cushman. Do you obtain permission before printing these?
I'm not sure.
Okay, you may not be aware of it, but as of today, my department is in charge of the Winnipeg rates, which makes me the decision maker. Surprise, surprise. I don't give you permission for this, so I'm wondering how you ended up doing it.
I mean, if it pleases you, or if it works for you, we could not take that into consideration.
Well, I guess the point here is that you have to read the fine print as to what's included in the rate and what we calculate and what we use. I take it no one's done that, and they've just printed out verbatim what's on the page.
Yeah, I believe that information is available.
Okay.
Publicly.
And what does the department's model adjust? And I'm not going to get into it here because we were dealing with something that's older, but just a general question: does the department adjust for changing interest rates when the mortgages of these places have? You know that?
I do not know.
Okay. What I'm getting at is, if you have a very preferential mortgage that predated the site, would that not skew the cap rate downwards?
I'm not sure. I mean, like, with regard to the cap rate that we have, we're using the information that's available to us.
So when the model, not you, the modeler looked at these ones you're reporting on page 7, you can't then be sure if they had a 1.75% CMHC supported rate then, do you? You don't know that?
I'm not sure. We looked at the income and expense information, we stabilized it, and we applied the net operating income against the sale price.
Well, and I was just sort of puzzled because you were quoting CMHC stats. I believe that was on page 12. And so why don't you take into account CMHC preferential mortgages in your analysis?
Well, on page 12 is to show that the model rents are supported by the market and maybe a little bit lower than market.
Well, no, I mean, if CMHC is an authority for rental rates, why not use them as an authority on interest rates for determining capitalization rates?
Because I guess we determine capitalization rates using income and expenses and sales.
But you don't adjust for the mortgage rates, though. That's my question. Do you? You just answered earlier,
sure.
no. Right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I apologize. You did say you weren't sure. I don't want to get too far.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a point to make, you can make it in your own presentation.
That's fair. I just wanted to know, get it on the record, what you knew and what you didn't know. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Very much. Ms. Linkletter, any questions at this time of the assessor?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
And I do not have any further questions of the assessor. Mr. Neufeld, you're up, sir.
Yes, thank you. So on my presentation, I was going to point out the income side of it, and I'm not trying to look for an advantage. We did report a higher NOI, but we were dealing with trying to backdate post-reference income, and the issue with that is that as new construction, you're going to find that the expenses are often lower than actuals. And I read this just this morning and saw that's my page 3, that the taxes are actually higher than that, and that the R&M was rather skimpy. On new builds, you'll usually see that because the tax bill doesn't come out till maybe 2 years after they were built, and there's not a lot of expenses in the first couple of years because it's new build. Stuff hasn't started to wear down, and that's why we adopted the assessor's number. I thought it was more reasonable. I have no issues with it. The point is the capitalization rate, and I'm not trying to make it's not a personal note, but we've had a lot of problems with our cap rate report being abused. And one of the issue is that this is published by the brokers, and now that I was put in charge, not my department is in charge of this. I do not write this report because I don't want to have a conflict, but I do oversee its preparation and review the numbers. These are derived from the brokers. They're canvassed. The results are tabulated and put into this cap rate report. And we don't value every property. We only value the good ones. Now, this is a better one. This is of interest to an investor. And at the time, our cap on this was between 5 and 6%. The issue with that is the preparation of our cap rate report. We take the cap rate to the purchaser, not the vendor. The assessment department and most appraisers use the vendor's cap rate. The difference is that the closing costs have to be are included for the purchaser, and that's why our cap rate skews a little bit low, and that works out to about 0.3 of a percentage point. So we look at this and say, you know, if a good rate's between 5 and 6, that means when you use actual world appraisal principles, you're going to be around 5.3 to 5.5%. And then from there, then you look at the discrepancies. So if you're using a Collier system, you got to live with the whole package. And this is our 21-point form. This is where we take and adjust the single differences on these properties. This is objective and transparent. And these come from actual sales, and you know, the minor issues with it have to do with I'm just taking a look here at this, that yeah, it was the CMHC affordable, which was the biggest issue with it. And sorry, we're not socially politically correct here, but this is all about money. If you look at page 3, you'll note that 6 of the units are set up for affordable housing. And when you get involved with affordable housing, you're also dealing with restrictions. So a new build generally has an exemption period for the rent control, and but when you get affordable housing, what happens is that the advantages in the affordable housing are typically with the planning department, that they like to see affordable housing being made available. And believe it or not, 945 is deemed affordable housing these days. But you know, that percentage is 6 divided by 32. That's 19% of the properties is subject to a rent ceiling, a rent control, even though the rest of the building is not. So an investor is going to look at that and say, well, you know, 80% of my building has the opportunity to chase the market and 20% does not. And that was the concern we had on this. This is real world appraisal. not models, not people guessing, not people discussing in the coffee shop what they think values are. This is how things get appraised. That's why we put a 5.75 on it. And you know, honestly, you could argue a range of 5.5 to 6% on this basis. We just picked the midpoint, and that's our sole difference with the assessor. And I'll probably repeat some of this as we go later on, but I'll try to say it a different way. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Questions, Mr. Wong?
No questions.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, any questions at this time?
Just one question. Are you keeping your NOI at the 298,551 because you were just disputing the cap rate, or are you
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a cherry picker. I don't like to say I want the best from here and from here. We're not going to dispute it no matter what you pick. It's 298 at our cap or 290 at a lower cap. And I think one of the things, if I was thinking about this, I'd say, okay, well, maybe you use the 290 and put it at 5.5. I think that's fair. If you overstate the income, then you've got to have a higher cap because you're got less room for growth. That's the principle behind it. So it's a non-answer to your question. I don't care.
okay? Thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Linkletter, any questions at this time?
Just one question. So, Mr. Neufeld, just for clarification, you've just stated that 20% of this building has affordable housing?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Kem, just to redirect to you, were you aware of this? Mr. Wong?
I was not aware of it.
Okay. I thank you both. That's all my questions.
Thank you. I guess what I'm gonna do is just probe that a little bit. Mr. Neufeld, obviously the NOI that you came up with of 298,551, you are within $7,000 or $8,000 of the assessor's number, virtually looking at it overall in the same set of glasses, basically. Would you agree?
Sorry, what?
Your number in the
No, but the last phrase was, what did you say?
you guys are looking at it with the same set of glasses at this point.
No, well, yeah. I think we're very close, and it's not worth arguing.
Yeah, and I know that your expense ratios are, again, a few, half a point difference, so you're talking the same thing, you're down to just an argument over your cap rates, correct?
Yeah, and it'll be, like I said, mostly observed in the expense ratio. What I see, I think ours is not adequate.
Yeah, just a curiosity question. New builds like this are mandated by CMHC to have certain amount of suites set aside for lower income folks, is that correct?
Well, there's a couple of agencies who get involved. The city planners, for example, when they give the approval for it, they look favorably upon having affordable housing units in it, and CMHC will give you a better financing rate if you do this. So there's a bit of political direction in these issues, and
Okay, so in essence, this is the marketplace for newer builds, correct? So anybody looking at these is going to have this as an issue, correct?
No, I mean, it's not an issue, negative or positive. What it is fit the cap rate to what's been approved. It's like if you have a property that has a restriction on it, then you have to consider the impact on value. Or if you have a property that has far more development permissibility, you have to consider that as an upward swing on value. And it is what it is. It's a fact of life, and then when you go to CMHC, you'll get a better mortgage rate. That's true. And is it market? And you know, the most famous case that we've seen on this is is, I won't call him president, we'll call him Mr. Trump, who got sued by the state of New York because of misstating these supported rental rates in his valuation. And they said he defrauded the bank. And that's when he got fined $300 million. And it's very much the same principle. You don't get to pick the best rate from column A and the rest rate from column B and match it up. You have to match the income
I think
with
we get
the cap.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was.
I think those are my questions at this point. I thank you for your submission. Do you have any final word, Mr. Wong?
No.
And Mr. Neufeld, any final thoughts on this, sir?
No, your last question was all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Okay. All good. Thank you very much. We will move on to the next one. Just bear with me while I sort out what I've got open here. Sorry, and we are gonna go to. So now we are looking at 2025 for 615 Kimberly Avenue. I note that Mr. Wong, that the value has changed slightly, so would you give us the presentation at this point? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, the subject property is 615 Kimberly. The file number is 25-509. The roll number is 020-628-07965. The roll year in this case is 2025, and the assessed value is $6,453,000. The same as the previous property, except just a different roll year. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. On page 4 is our income valuation summary. The average monthly rent that the model has applied is $1,334 to get a potential income of $512,000. He sets 2.6% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $499,000, and we use a 39% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $303,000. Capped at 4.7%, we have an estimated market value of $6,453,000, which is about $201,000 per unit. On page 5 are some rent comparables to show that the rents we've applied are in line with what's in the market, and in this case, it seems like they're a little bit lower than market. On page 6 are some sales comparables. They range from $269,000 a unit to $281,000 a unit, and about $266 a square foot to $321 a square foot. These sales, they support the assessed value at $201,000 per unit and $235 a square foot. On page 7 is information on how we derived our cap rates, and on page 8 are some cap rate sales that range from 3.46 to 5.74%. And on page 10, 11, and 12 are some pictures of the interior pictures of the subject property. And on page 13 are CMHC rent comparables that show that support the model's rent at $1,334. So once again, this is a new property, just a different roll year. So we're using market information for valuing the property. The model rent that's been applied is supported by rent comparables and CMHC rents. The model expenses at 39% is reasonable for a new property, which might typically range from 32 to 42%. And the model cap rate is supported by comparable sales. The overall value, that assessed value at $201,000 a unit, is supported by comparable sales that might range from about $215,000 to $281,000 per unit. So the assessed value is well supported, And it's the market information actually supports a value that's maybe slightly higher, but I ask that you maintain the assessed value at 6,453,000.
Thank you very much. Mr. Newfeld, questions of the assessor?
Sure. Just gonna focus again solely on the cap rate. I know our income is higher. We had a pro forma on it, and I'll point out the error later. In regard to capitalization rates, was this property assessed on the model?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And your examples that you're presenting, page 8, I believe all but the top one were sold during the time when interest rates were about 1.75%. Did this not factor into your decision? Because on April 1st, 2023, they were at 4.75%.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I believe that these cap rates are calculated by stabilizing 3 years of information prior to the sale date.
Right, but you again, as before, the consideration for the interest rate changes, you don't know if it's reflected in the model.
I don't believe it's considered.
Okay, and do you investigate or ask the owners about their school tax credit?
I am not sure. I think we just looked at the information that was provided to us in terms of their income and expenses.
Well, I'm asking because until that date, it was mailed to them separately and not on their taxes. Would a purchaser consider that school tax revenue should be added to the operational revenue?
I think everybody might do it differently, so I'm not really too sure.
Okay, but you don't know if it's applied or not. Then is what you're.
I don't know.
Okay, and I have no new questions that would arise out of this that I haven't asked on the previous property. So I'm just assuming that discussion can carry forward. That's it for my questions.
Very much. Ms. Schultz, any questions at this time?
No questions, thank you.
And Ms. Lickletter, any questions at this time?
My questions have been asked and answered. Thank you.
Thank you, as are mine, so thank you very much. Mr. Newfeld, you're up, sir.
Thank you. So as before, we were doing we had a pro forma, and that's on page 3, and so this is before it was open, and the person who wrote this up didn't understand that this was a pro forma, and you'll notice that there's some red areas, page 3. That's what they're asking, but they had no idea what the occupancy would be, and it was penciled in at 3%. So this is the same sheet as before. Now, the person who did this did note that the property taxes were much higher than originally budgeted, and but had not adjusted for the R&M. So the R&M, you'll note, is $850 a door, which if you're not going to spend that much on a new build, but you're going to have to spend it within a few years, because if you don't, you won't keep your rents up. And what this refers to is turnover. So first year of a building, you won't have turnover or costs, but most of these buildings are rented out with 1 month free, and there's a lot of travel between buildings, people going to the next one that's offering a free month of rent, and it's just a sign of the times. And by doing so, there's a turnover. So sometimes you can get away with minor changes to your unit, but typically every time you turn over a unit, you've got to spend money. And it can be repairs, redecoration, new rugs, that sort of thing. And it is much too low in this particular case, because we're much closer to the date. I can say with some confidence that I think that the assessor's number is more accurate, because we should have had a higher R&M and a higher vacancy rate. But again, we didn't submit that to you. You can use your discretion. As far as the cap rate goes, I think that this is should have been higher because as I was saying during my questioning, it began the interest rate increase got very aggressive towards the end of 2022, and within 5 short months, it went from 1.75% to 4.75%. That's the central bank rate. Now, CMHC have special rates that you can get. You meet certain conditions, and you have to pay for it, by the way. It's not free. It's like prepaying, but that goes into your capital cost, and you end up financing it. So it's like a bit of a vicious circle. So we'll just accept them at face. So you would take in before April 1st, 2023. So it's actually March was no, sorry. It really hit around January and December of 23. December of 22, January 23, you would get a CMHC approved mortgage at 1.75%. Afterwards, it was 4.75%. They were all set for amortization over 20 years, and the first term is 5 years. So the thought amongst most people who are buying and selling is that the 4.75 was a temporary thing. And so therefore cap rates did not climb 3 points. They climbed about 0.6% of points because there was some hope, there was some optimism that they would stabilize soon, and then upon renewal it would decline. But interest rates are the primary component of a cap rate, because you were always buying and selling these properties on the spread between the money cost and the money you make. So you can't get a 4.8% cap rate when your money's costing you 4.75%. Nobody does that. But so the cap rates did rise. Now the Collier's cap rate in this particular quarter that's reported, you'll notice that it's the same number as reported 2 years prior. Was bad. Somebody got lazy that year and they put in the old report number. That's the wrong number. It did increase, and quarter 3 2023 was when somebody caught up with it and finally made a correction. That's when my division was asked to supervise it. And like I said, I'm not writing them. We're just doing a real good job at canvassing the professionals who sell these properties and reporting what they say. I've got no input at all into these numbers. And this again would be towards the upper end, and the actual number is 525 to 6 was the rate that should have been put in there. We kept these two rates the same just for simplicity, because it's the same issue. Oh, maybe it was laziness, I don't know. But in this case, I would argue definitely for a higher cap rate than the previous one because of what happened. Now, the other thing that happened, the interest rate, was the school tax credit. This was introduced in 2021. The first, I believe, 2 years, it's almost 50% of your education portion, which is 20 to 25% of your total tax bill, was sent out as a refund to commercial property owners of apartments. It wasn't the same for retail and commercial and that sort of thing. It was just for apartments, and then for your houses, of course, it was a different rate. Now, that all changed with the election, and the last time that these were issued, the credits was in 2023 when it came on your tax bill, which of course the tax bills come in on May 11th, 2023 post reference. So the statement that these people provide may or may not have the school tax credit. In the case of this property, for example, it's actually not eligible for it because it's new build, but they would have had a property tax credit of approximately $22,000. And if you added $22,000 to the bottom line, what does that do to a cap rate? And it's about 0.3%. And that's what was happening with all these sales at the time. That's just the way the market worked. And I understand the model is the model, but it doesn't look at these factors. And it's the same problem in business, which is why I'm explaining what the market participants are doing is they're not playing catch up with it either. We just have a small advantage here at Colliers in that we have one fellow here who digs into these numbers to give you honest numbers on I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word. More reliable numbers on the question of the adjustments for interest, beneficial financing, and the school tax credit. It's not a one-size-fits-all issue either. So that's why we would put the cap at 5.75% or higher. And in this case, I think probably I would have personally leaned more on the assessor's number because of the flaws on this statement. It's your decision what you choose, whether it's what we printed or what I'm telling you today. And that's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wong, questions?
So your requested value is 5,573,000.
Sorry, that's what. Yes.
Okay. Like that works out to about 146,000 per unit. Like in the information that I presented, new builds it seems like they're selling for between 200,000 and 300,000 a unit. I was just wondering if you've ever seen any sales of newer apartments at 146,000 a unit to sort of maybe reconcile your approach and your cap rates.
I knew you were going to ask that question. I'm working very hard at answering it with the correct.
Yeah, because like in the end, we're about market value and the sale, right?
With a respectful answer. Now, the bottom line is that the concept of looking at a rate per unit fails to understand the basic principle of valuation, which is the highest and best use. The highest and best use is based on its highest and best use, which is as a rental unit. When we start looking at unit prices, we're not seeing that highest and best use because the only way you can value something on its highest and best use is the same valued on what it's doing, returning income, period. It's not a question of the rate per square because then you got to be looking at other issues on it. And I've seen some go higher where they have excess land. I've seen some go lower where they need some work and it was a refurbishment prospect. In this case, you know, what you're going to want to look at for the higher rates is something that's probably clipping along at 2,000 a month or higher without rent controls and without affordable housing. And then with amenities like underground parking and locational advantages. But again, it all goes back to the rent. You're not going to sell a property that's making $1,000 a month for the same rate per unit per apartment as one that's making $2,000. And that's why we use the income approach because it's the best tool to match the highest and best use.
Also, have you seen, I mean, do you know of any sales that are similar to the subject property that have sold for about 146,000 a unit?
To answer that question, I have to look at their financial statements, and I haven't done that, so I can't answer that question. Not trying to avoid it. I would default to the highest and best use in the principles of valuation. Not
okay.
A rate per unit is misleading.
If you don't have any examples of that, then that's okay.
Well, no, I'm going to answer that question as assuming it's a question. Is that's not how the assessment department values these. It's not how boards.
We value it based off of sales.
It's not how you don't do a direct comparison approach, which is what you're suggesting. I have never seen a board go to the direct comparison approach when it's a fully functional investment building. And therefore, our discussion of value is limited. And we're trying to
Sorry, that's
apply,
all my questions.
we're trying to apply the same method for all properties.
All right, questions, Ms. Linkletter?
I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Schultz, any questions at this time?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I have no further questions. Thank you very much both for the presentations on that this morning.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, could we
Yes.
could we just possibly take 5?
Of course we could. That would be perfect.
Thank you.
Now we'll take a quick break, ladies.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. And we are moving on in the docket to 61 Furby Street. Mr. Wong, may we have your
Sorry, I was just gonna interject here. We're gonna either confirm it or withdraw it.
Okay, well, what would you like to do, sir?
Dealer's choice. I don't know. There's nowhere to go with it. If it makes it easier, we can withdraw. I don't have a form here, though.
Okay, well then, I guess we can just confirm it at that point.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it in?
That would probably be a good idea.
Okay, the subject property is 61 Furby. The file number is 25-188. The roll number is 120-906-73000. The roll year is 2026, and the assessed value is $4,139,000.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wong, and I don't think we need to go through questions because I think everyone is okay with that, I'm guessing. Ms. Linkletter, you're nodding also, I'm guessing? We're good with moving forward?
All good here.
Okay, and
I'm good.
Mr. Neufeld is confirmed, asking to confirm. All right, that being said. '59 Evanson. Just keep it forward here. All right, Mr. Wong, can we hear your presentation on this particular property, sir?
Yes, the subject property is 59 Evanson Street. The file number is 25-187. The roll number is 120-821-16000. The roll year is 2026, and the assessed value is $1,264,000. This is a residential apartment. It's 3 stories high. It was built in 1913, but we have an effective year built of 1968 to reflect improvements to the property. There are 13 suites with 0 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is a picture of the subject property with its location. It is located in the Wolseley area. On page 4 is our income valuation summary. We use average rents of $784 to get a potential income of $131,000. We used a 3.1% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $127,000. And we used a 50% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $63,000. Capped at 5%, we have an estimated market value of $1,264,000. On page 5 are some rent comparables showing that the rents we've applied are in line with what's in the market. On page 6 is a summary of the income and expenses from the subject property. You'll notice that the vacancy in 2020 was less than 1%. And then in 2021, it was 6%. And then in 2022, it was almost 30%. I'm not sure why the vacancy is going up like that, but for the purposes of trying to stabilize the property, the net operating income, I've used their rent potential from 2022 with the a 3.6% vacancy, which is the model vacancy. that indicates that yields a income of 131,000. And then for their expenses, I took their average expenses from 2020 to 2022. And the average expenses are about 64,000, giving a net operating income of 67,000. The actual net operating income of 67,000 when you account for their higher vacancy in 2022, or you exclude that for reasons which I'm not sure why their vacancy is that high. When you do that, the actual NOI is about 67,000, which supports the model's NOI at 63,000. On page 7, and page 7 is information on how we derived our cap rates, and on page 8 are some cap rate sales that range from 3.46% to 5.74%. On page 10 is just a little bit of information from the property manager's website. Page on the remainder of my brief is the income and expenses supplied by the owner. So once again, I'm not sure why the vacancy is 30% in 2022, but when we stabilize their income, it works out to about 67,000, and it supports the model's net operating income of 63,000. The model cap rate is supported by comparable sales, so I ask that you maintain the assessed value at 1,264,000.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, questions at this time, sir?
Yes, we'll start with page in order, I hope, page 1. Built 1913, effective year 1968. You don't know how that happened?
I'm assuming it's normally when we have an effective year built like that, it's due to improvements to the property.
I don't want an assumption. Do you have any facts?
I do not know.
Okay. Now, did you check the permits on this?
I did not.
Okay. She didn't note that there has been nothing showing up in permits of any magnitude from the day they started tracking in 2002. Wouldn't you usually look up the permits to see what's out there?
I did not look up the permits.
Okay. So this was done by the model. You had no input on this, I take it?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And on I had mentioned the permits show some sales between some work between 2002 and 2006. Now you have those sales listed on page 2. So there's nothing to suggest that some work was done for an improvement of any sort, is there, from looking at the old sales?
I don't know.
Okay. And then when you go to things like the expense ratio and the cap, I'm now looking at page 4, then these would all be driven by a model telling you it was built in 1968?
Yes.
Okay. And I take it you've never had the opportunity to inspect the building?
I don't believe I've inspected the property.
Okay. On your page 6, you're indicating 3 years of income and expenses. Where did this all come from? The mailer?
Yes.
Okay. And I take it that the columns 20 and 21, you removed some amortization and principal reduction in the statements to arrive at the your number?
Yes.
Okay, so these are your notes from a review of the statements and your adjustments. Now, I have seen in the past where you personally and many assessors have looked at a 3-year average rather than the best year. Isn't that more of a typical practice? Or maybe, let me rephrase that. Can you comment on why you would just use the highest year instead of a 3-year average?
For the income?
Yes. I'm looking at the NOI at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, typically the income doesn't go down, and so we feel it's reasonable to use the highest income of 2000, the most recent year.
But you said in your testimony that you don't know why it went down. Shouldn't you have found out why it went down then?
Well, I don't. I'm just using this as an example
No,
in terms of stabilizing it.
I was asking for comments.
Nobody would stabilize a property for valuation purposes at 30% with 1 year. Nobody would do that.
Would you saying nobody would do it, but wouldn't the proper methodology been to first find out what happened, and second, if you couldn't find the reason, then stabilize it on an average?
Well, this is my rough estimate, and if you have information as to why it's 30% vacant, then maybe you could
Well,
fill us.
we're not asking about my information, we're asking about yours, and I just want to make it clear that this was based on a different practice than I've seen in the past from both yourself and your department, and I just want to know why.
Well, I mean, do you think that it's funny? It's not funny that it goes from 0% to 30%?
Not really. I mean, it's 120 years old, 110 years old. So, you know, lots of things can happen. But you're asking me questions. You'll get your turn later. Now, in looking at the, and I'm now moving ahead to page 11. So the differences would be typically, in your case, it's or what you're suggesting, it's a loss in income rather than an increase in costs.
Well, you can see on my chart, it's
Yeah.
100% the income.
Okay. So, if this were, for example, a renovation project, and you saw this, you would see two things, right? You would see expenses are higher and a permit, correct?
Sometimes.
You don't think the city would require a permit?
I don't know. All I know is that I've seen a lot of work done without permits before.
Okay, but you have no proof of that, do you?
I don't have any proof of that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just telling you what I've seen.
Okay. Now, just for sake of argument, I'm not going to pin you down to a number, but if you were actually looking at the actual age instead of this effective age, it's fair to say that the value would be significantly lower, whatever word you want to use.
It might make a difference. You would know as an appraiser that would make a difference.
Well, no, we're asking you. I know what I know.
I believe it would make a difference, but I don't
Okay.
I don't have anything in my brief to suggest one way or the other.
Okay. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Questions at this time, Ms. Schultz?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Linkletter, any questions?
My questions have been asked and answered. Thank you.
And I'm just curious. There are no permits on this, Mr. Wong?
I actually have not. I did not look into the permits. So.
All right. And it appears from the picture, now forgive me, I look at a picture and I look at it and go, it appears to be in fairly good exterior shape. Do you think this may need an inspection to certainly round out the information the department has?
I mean, think that might be that might be warranted. At the same time, when I look at the income information that we have from 2020 to 2022, it appears that the model does appear to be reflecting what they're actually achieving. So I feel that the attributes that we have might be reasonably close.
Okay. All right, those are my questions. Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, can we hear from you at this point, sir?
Thank you. I'm going to give you a bit of a verbal background on this, and I didn't prepare this brief, but I did inspect the building in 2006. And it was for the purpose of one of those sales that was mentioned. And the work that was being done at the time, the permit, I'm reading it right now, is electrical. They put in some 240 and they converted to electric heat and put in separate meters. That was the last work done on it in 2006 from permits. There has never been a major renovation on the permits. I could read them off to you, or you can look them up, but nothing to hide here. They've had additional wiring, either electrical, plumbing repair, non-structural alterations and repairs. That non-structural was the second last. I inspected after, and there was no change. It's a pretty nice original building, and I think your observations are correct. I found that it was square without cracks. Square meaning it wasn't tilting, sold for whatever 240,000, and it was I don't know why I did the appraisal at the time. I guess it was the only one in the office, but nothing's changed. Now, the income, I think the proper way to look at this is, without evidence of a major issue, such as a permit or a change in use, none of which is indicated, that the best way to treat it is a building of this age is it will have good years and bad years. Now, one of the factors, and I haven't brought this in evidence, but just in generality, is that this occupies the lower end of the rental market, and the new product on the market is changing the landscape. It's reducing, it's increasing vacancy rates at more inferior buildings, and most of the inferior buildings have been taken up by refugees, both from the Ukraine and from Syria. And as they either assimilate or find work, or then they move up and they get a better place. I know I'm speaking very subjectively, but this is what my clients tell me, is that they are seeing at the lower end of the rent scale is this sort of activity. We would just tend to look at it as to say it's a cyclical thing, and you'll note that in our workup on the first page, that's exactly what we did. We didn't take the last year and say that's it, but I don't think an investor is going to walk in and say, well, I think next year is going to be better. No, they won't. They're going to say next year might be better, but the one after that will be worse again. It's a 3-year average. That's the way it is, and that's what we put on, 54,000. And the expenses, you'll note, are extremely stable. So that indicates that there's not a problem in it. And in terms of the building, it's market goes up, market goes down. And you tried explaining that to people in a city where everyone assumes they go up. It's not true. Different markets have different reactions. So the 54,000 is pretty solid. I personally don't agree with the cap rate. I've been in the building. I wouldn't put it this low, but I'm not changing it because actually there is a reason for it. It's called the principle of anticipation. So if you're earning a lot of money, the only way is down. If you're not earning enough money, the only way is up. And as a result, you can be more, you can look for an upward projection in the cap rate because there is room. It's proven it's done it before. And so you're going to have a little bit more of an aggressive cap rate. Normally this would be in the 7s, maybe pushing 8, depending on how much work is needed to be done in it. And so applying the 6.25 is a way of dealing with the concept of anticipation. I didn't do this workup, but I'm actually very happy with this whole workup. I like it in terms of it's a good picture snapshot of value for the building in the reference here. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, questions at this point?
No questions.
Thank you. And Ms. Schultz, any questions at this point?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Linkletter, questions?
Just a quick one for clarification, Mr. Neufeld. Did I hear you correctly that you said you were in this building?
Yes, I appraised it in 2006.
Okay. So I realized that was, almost 20 years ago, but are you suggesting there's been like no major updates to kitchen and bathrooms?
Well, again, I cannot verify that 100%. And I was this morning I was going through pictures, exterior pictures, historical, and the outside is the same as when I inspected it. I was looking for my notes and my inspection on it, but unfortunately, they're not. The files aren't. There's a name for it. They're not showing up when I look for them. I have to look manually for it. As I recall, what they were doing at the time was there was some wood repair going on. So door frames, and what was that was done, and I think they may have done the windows right before I looked at it. But I don't see that come up. But the windows were newer when I inspected it in 06. I don't. I don't think anything has happened to it, but as with anything else, there could be different. But the actual income doesn't appear to support any of that work. When you look at the potential is 132, 14 units. It's 9,000. Yeah, so that's 9,000 divided by 12. It's gonna get you 750 rents. No, absolutely not. It doesn't. You would see much higher rents if work had been done than 750.
All right, I thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much, and I don't believe I have any further questions. Thank you again, gentlemen. I believe unless you have closing comments to make.
No, thank you.
Mr. Neufeld?
Nope.
Good, thank you very much. We will move on to the next item on the docket. This is 550 D La Senor Boulevard. Is that correct, Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Well, let's have your presentation on this. Mr. Neufeld, did we miss something?
Sorry, you were looking for?
I believe this is the last item on the docket.
Right. I think something was filed, but I don't think the value was filed.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything there.
Yeah. No, it's just some paper, right?
Yeah.
Picture. Yeah. I was stunned because Mike pronounced it so badly. I wasn't sure what property.
Sorry, I'm having one of those moments, tongue ties. Apologize. And it appears that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we submitted some paper, but there's nothing on it, and we'll make this short. And don't worry about it.
All right. All right, Mr. Wong. Sorry, just so I'm clear. So, Mr. Neufeld, what do you want to do exactly? Just want him to read it in, or are you going?
Yeah,
to
no.
or
I'm gonna.
just-
I think I have one or two questions, and then what we'll tell you is what we're thinking of verbally, and we'll be done very quickly.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Wong, let's have your presentation, sir.
Okay. The subject property is 550 I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but I'm gonna say it's De La Signorie Boulevard. And the file number is 25-496. The roll number is 060-934-63490. The roll year is 2026, and the assessed value is 47,192,000. So this is a residential apartment that's 5 stories high, 5 to 6 stories high. It was built in 2021, and it has 190 suites with 190 indoor parking stalls and 40 outdoor parking stalls. You'll see on my page 3 in the income valuation summary that the income value is 53 million, but the assessed value is 47 million. And that's because this property was heard in 2025, and the board had the board had reduced the value to 47 million. On my page 9, or sorry, on page 10, the recommendation from the assessment and taxation department be accepted to decrease the 2025 realty assessment to bring in line with market value. The decision is based on the recommendation presented by the assessment and taxation department, and you can see the information on page 11. And on page 13, I guess Alter, so Ryan had was representing the property for 2025, and they had requested a value of 48,621,000. And we're currently at 47,192,000. So considering that the city of Winnipeg recommended the value at 47,192,000, and that Altus had requested something higher, the board of revision ordered the value to be set at 47 million. I said that works out to about 277,000 a unit. It's supported by the comparable sales that are in my brief. I ask that you maintain the assessed value at 47,192,000 as per the 2025 Board of Revision order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. Mr. Neufeld, questions of?
Yeah,
Yes.
the request by Altus, is that in your brief?
Yeah.
What page? Oh, okay, wait, is this one on page
13?
Okay, at the bottom. Okay, so that's what I was wondering. This is their workup that they did. Do you know, and that's what I was sort of wondering, the numbers in here, 3.6 million for gross income. Was this something that there was agreement on, or your numbers were the same I see on page 12?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, and I'm just looking at that. It's just I'm just not just wondering what everyone's source was, but you have the same gross income, and sorry, I'm just looking for the expenses, 1365 versus 1271. So there was a difference. The city had lower expenses, and was it cap? They said 5%. That's why I was having a problem with the math here. Because if you start off both at 3.669 million, and you ended up same vacancy rate and same effective income. Oh, I see. You didn't have the additional income, and Altus did. They added in the parking. There's the difference. I'm sorry. I just wanted to understand this. Who provided what? And then this so my question I had intended on asking was, this, the expense ratio that you submitted, or that the department submitted, did not change between the model workup and the recommendation?
No,
No, everything was the same except the income then. It appears to be. Vacancies the same, percentage is the same, caps the same. Okay. And then there was no 15-1 signed, or sorry, was there a 15-1 signed?
no, it was
Okay,
a
so
board order.
board order. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to ask.
Thank you very much. And so we will go to questions. Ms. Schultz, questions at this time?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Linkletter, any questions at this time?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I don't believe I have any questions either. Mr. Newfeld, what is your position here, sir?
Yes, this is very briefly. First of all, I agree. Once you bring something to the board in the first year and you come back the second year, you have, it's not an uphill battle, but I think you're asking for a higher, or asking for it to go to the municipal board. I don't mean that in any negative way, but you're not going to go back and get a different decision necessarily. But I'll tell you the basis of what we had noted. Looking at post-reference material, we noted that the expense ratio was much higher. Their actuals were about 46%. And that's because we were using a date that was a few years after the original construction, and like people in their pro formas will always budget that really low because they were looking for a high value for their appraisal or potential sale. But when the actual times hit, that you can't hide the R&M, it's just going up. And then the other one was the taxes, that, and I noticed on the workup that there was no breakdown by Altus on these costs, and it was just an acceptance of a 36% ratio. So in our business, we don't do that. And then the last point is the cap. I think this would be an aggressive cap at this time. It's fair to consider 5.25. That's the lowest end of the range, the real range. And those are our reasons. And so I'm just giving you. I should just tell you what we're probably thinking about is, in terms of value, is I'll just give you a number for the record. So 3.5. We're probably looking at about a 40% ratio at about I don't know, maybe 5.25, maybe 5. So that's going to get it down to about 41 million. And that's what we'll be looking for. And again, I don't take this the wrong way. I don't want you to think that, oh, don't give me my number, I'll appeal. We'll just appeal anyway, because that's what we do. But there've been a lot of appeals this year, far more than any other year I've had.
Mr. Newfeld, please forgive me, but the number that you are requesting as your evaluation then is $41 million?
No, I'll give you a finite number.
Please.
42,446,000.
42,446,000. Okay.
And that's a 40% expense ratio and a 5% cap rate.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Wong, do you have questions of Mr. Newfeld?
No questions.
Ms. Linkletter, do you have questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
And Ms. Schultz, do you have questions at this point?
No questions at this time, thank you.
I don't believe I have any further questions. Gentlemen, I thank you both for your presentations today and your patience. Thank you.
Thank you.
And sorry, just I believe at this point we have heard all items scheduled, and this hearing now is adjourned. So thank you again very much.
Thank you again. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.